Be a part of the best pro wrestling podcast today by supporting the Going In Raw Patreon. You can enjoy access to the live taping of the show, exclusive merchandise, and patron-only episodes, and so much more. Support Going In Raw today. Click the link in the description. Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome to Going In Raw. It's the only wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. We're also available on the iTunes and Stitcher Radio at soundcloud.com/Steve and Larson, at iHeartRadio, Google Play, Podbean,
SoundCloud.
I already said SoundCloud. I gave
iTunes.
the entire... I definitely already said iTunes.
iHeartRadio, Google Play.
Said all this stuff already. My goodness gracious. And we want to say thank you to anybody who hit that download button, the subscribe button, all those good buttons that people are hitting to boost us in the ratings and the rankings. And we all just sit here and talk about pro wrestling, but that kind of stuff is very important too, because then it just helps us reach a broader audience. I've got the squeaky chair today, Larson. Are you happy that I switched that up?
I would be happier if neither of the chairs were squeaky. It's a distraction.
You know, your negativity is a distraction sometimes. It's just for once, just say, yeah, no, it's fine, Steve. It's fine. It's fine.
No.
Not going to say that?
Mm-mm.
Whatever.
Heel turn.
Yeah, this is like the weakest. It's just a passive-aggressive turn. That's what it is.
It's the heel turn comes in steps. I'm not going to come up to you and hit you with the chair right away.
No? You're not going to do that?
Nope.
I kind of would prefer that, so I know exactly where we stand.
We got to build up the story.
All right, you know what I'm doing right now? I'm searching for everything that says pledge, because I want to give a shout out to all our lovely patrons out there at patreon.com/Steven Larson. We've got 21 people watching right now. Alex C says he flipped his headphones. It's better now. So yeah, we got people watching the live stream of this, is my point. And you can do that by pledging $5 a month, or if you just want to watch one live stream a month, you can pledge $1 a month.
Yes.
We got all sorts of great rewards there, so please go check it out at patreon.com/Steven Larson. It helps us make the show. We try to make the show better. We're slowly but surely kind of improving things. We got rid of the white pixel over by your shoulder.
Because there's new camera now.
There's new camera now, which just gives me the bags under my eyes. Makes my bags look ridiculously deep. Like, the camera aged us a good 5 years.
It's funny that my bags don't look any different.
I know it like debagged your eyes.
Because usually I have noticeable bags and circles under my eyes.
Right, exactly. I don't think I look this tired in real life.
Especially today, because I am tired.
Yeah, I feel like $1 million. I got like 9 hours of sleep last night.
I haven't had 9 hours of sleep in years.
I want to send a special shout out to Chad Henderson, Damon Cruz, Will Fernandez, John Kuyukendal, Mitchell Elam, Matt Carr, Joe Rands, Jared Kincaid, John Venrick, Keith Thigpen, Martin Garcia, Brett Wooten, Giovanni Lugo, TJ Lancaster, Vincent Palmieri, Craig Marilla, Andrew Gonzalez, Joshua McKee, Matthew Elish Williams, Simon Casper, Kyle Douglas, Stephen Stacy, Tyler Gray, Pepsi Popcorn Pajamas, that's a real name, Lucas Coward Marshall, Jeffrey Zhakowski, Joshua Levy, or Levi, Benjamin Harding, and yeah, that's it. That's good. That's everybody. Looks like it's everybody. I thought I remember this one. Oh, wait. Ulysses Ramirez. It's like the third Ulysses we got.
Yeah.
Charles, DJ, C.S. Smith, Steve Alice. Steve Alisi. Oh, boy. $50. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Big Razor Sexy, Jameson Brooks, Raymond Maslov, Matthew Bernier, James Certain, Eric Teapox Tapale.
Thank you, everybody.
Matthew Tate and Jake. Thank you very much, everybody, for pledging to the Patreon. We hope you appreciate that shout out there. And yeah, that was good. Stefan Fenris here in the chat says those are all K-Fabe names. Those are all fake names. That's what they are. We should probably talk about some wrestling now.
Yeah, let's talk Raw.
That all that's out of the business.
Raw. So Mick Foley opened the show.
Yeah, a bit long-winded. I was able to fast forward. I watched on the Hulu version, and then I did the pickups on YouTube. Between Hulu and YouTube, you pretty much can catch all of Raw now. That's how it goes. Because like Nia Jax's squash match of Alicia Fox wasn't on Hulu.
Really?
Because if you think about it, all the big segments on Raw last night, they were all really long.
Yeah.
Like the Jericho Sami Zayn segment was really long. The women's division match, which we were about to talk about, like you said, Foley comes down, Charlotte comes down along with Dana Brooke. They're talking about the women's division. Who is the number one contender? Sasha Banks, of course, who still needs her rematch from SummerSlam.
Yes.
Comes out, legitimate claim. Bayley comes out. She beat Charlotte last week, and she very sheepishly made a point of saying that, saying, "Hey, Mick Foley, let me in.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was good. It was just all the big moments were long moments. So Hulu had I think 4 segments. Yeah. And they squeeze everything else in. You can watch the rest on YouTube. Hulu's not going to show you Jinder Mahal versus Jack Swagger. For good reason. Anyways, so tell us what happened in the women's division.
So, as you mentioned, Foley opened the show. I guess I mentioned that. And you said Charlotte came out with Dana Brooke.
Yeah.
Sasha Banks came out with DDP rib tape for her back.
That's right.
And Bayley came out with her windbreaker. And so they all talked. At one point, Dana Brooke slapped Charlotte.
Yeah.
And so
Charlotte was just running down Dana Brooke too much.
Yeah.
She eventually there was a tipping point. You can't have a wrestler who's kind of young and you're trying to build her up a little bit. You can't have her just be a friggin' doormat the entire time.
Yeah.
So she finally reached her breaking point, slapped the shit out of Charlotte, made for kind of an awkward moment. It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then Mick Foley called it triple threat right now on Raw to determine the number one contender, Dana Brooke versus Bayley versus Sasha Banks.
Yes.
Now, it was a fun enough match.
Yeah, it was. There was one moment where I just want to mention this because I laughed.
Okay.
Where Bayley had Dana Brooke in some hold.
Okay.
And she extends Dana Brooke's hands and high fives it.
Oh.
And Dana Brooke says, "No, not the high five." That was great. That was fun.
I did like that. Dana Brooke seemed, especially last night, I think for the first time in a while, more comfortable with everything.
Yeah.
She seemed more comfortable. There were a couple of time spots that she hit.
Yeah.
That she hit.
She's usually been pretty good about banter during matches.
Yeah. So it was a decent enough match. Sasha Banks got the pin on Bayley, but it was very interesting. Everybody pointed this out. All 4 of their shoulders, baby. All 4 of your shoulders were down on the mat.
Yeah.
So it looked to be a dusty finish, but then they didn't bring it up.
Yeah, no, it didn't come back up during the show.
They called the win for Sasha. Now, This does beg the question, where does Bayley go from here? And does she make a case for herself using this footage?
We'll see.
Where else could she go, though? What else is she going to do at Clash of Champions?
Maybe a match against Dana Brooke.
Yeah, I know. We've
Charlotte and Dana kind of patched things up a little bit later on in the show.
Right.
So that partnership isn't completely over yet.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. And even so, it's not like Dana Brooke slapping Charlotte makes her immediate face.
No.
It's like she can still be the heel that she is. Just, she's not going to take any shit from Charlotte.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Either it'll be a triple threat or it won't. It was kind of funny. We saw this, right? During Backlash, they advertised Sasha versus Charlotte for Clash of Champions.
Yeah.
So that was weird because I was like, wait a second, it's already been advertised.
Yeah. Well, then there was those reports late last week that someone had ordered the WWE internet marketing, right?
Yeah, digital. Yeah.
Digital not to advertise Sasha versus Charlotte.
Which got us thinking, okay, maybe this is going to be a triple threat. But then given that they hadn't even announced that was the match in the first place.
But they had the commercial for it.
So I don't know. It's obvious that the right hand doesn't exactly know what the left hand's doing.
Possibly.
Slip-ups like that are going to happen from time to time. They're not really bad about that. I don't know. It remains to be seen. I hope that Bayley gets in on this somehow because I think those 3 especially can make a really fun match. On top of that, it makes me wonder if they'd want to make it a triple threat to ease up some of the punishment that Sasha could be taking.
Possibly.
She could sit various moments of the match out and have Bayley take a couple of those bigger bumps.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that, I'm hoping just for that reason alone that'll be the case because we want to see a nice, healthy Sasha Banks.
Yes.
No suicide dives. Stop with the suicide
As long as it all builds up to Sasha versus Bayley at WrestleMania.
It's so far out, though.
That's such a money match, though.
Yeah, but it's so far out. That's like 8 months away, man.
That gives you plenty of time to build a good storyline. That's a good thing.
Weren't you? You were making the case for this match last year, weren't you?
Yeah. No, I said that Bayley should come debut on Main the day after WrestleMania and start building that story for this next year's WrestleMania. That's what I said.
All right.
Give it a full year.
All right. Let's see here. We also had the Shining Star. We're just going to go through this like bit by bit. The Shining. We're going to chip away at this raw here. The Shining, and we got a lot of questions to go through, too.
Yes, we do.
That's one of the perks of being a patron, too. These days, we decided to open up the floodgates here because we said, hey, if you're a patron, you should get priority questions.
Yeah.
And so then all the patrons were like, oh, shit, okay, I'll ask a question.
So now, we have, I think, about 43 questions that are just from patrons.
Just from patrons.
Which is usually more than the number of questions we include on the show on average.
Yeah, but we'll steamroll those questions.
We'll just get right through
those. We got a couple of good video questions today, too. There's one?
No, we have 4.
We have 4?
I think.
Oh, man.
3 or 4.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Anyway, Shining Stars.
Yeah, they had a little segment with R-Truth. It was cute. But the big news was Enzo and Epico. Epico had a match for the second week in a row. They gave the Shining Stars the rub.
Yeah.
I did like when the Shining, we're all for not exposing, but sort of giving the Shining Stars more to do with on camera in terms of their personality, getting them over as characters.
Yes.
And I did like they came out there giving out flyers for the Shining Stars Resort in Puerto Rico.
Yes.
And at one point the camera caught one of the two giving, talking it up, especially with an attractive woman at ringside. So that was cute. And Corey Graves was putting over the Shining Stars Resort, saying that he spent some time there.
Yeah, only had 3 walls.
He was on fire against Byron Saxton last night. Do you even listen? Even Lacey, she was in the kitchen when Corey Graves said, "Byron, do you even listen to the words that I say?" And Lacey said, "Oh my God, that guy's a dick. He's awesome." So anyways, Epico went over on Enzo. This is obviously setting up a clash match between these two tag teams.
Well, Epico won, but it took assistance from Primo.
They're heels.
Yeah.
They're heels. No, they're good. I was kind of disappointed in Enzo and Cass's promo this week because it was all Enzo.
Yeah.
Sometimes Cass gets relegated to the Billy Gunn role.
Cass had a good moment, though, during the backstage segment when he was translating what Primo or Epico were saying in Spanish. And he translated the first part, and he said, or told Enzo what it meant. And he kind of said, "You don't want to know what the last part meant. It's bad for you."
All right, I'll have to watch that.
So that was funny.
I missed that part.
Oh, no, that was good.
I saw Hulu, and I saw YouTube, and I think I saw that part, like the screenshot on YouTube.
Yeah.
But
no,
good Lord.
You should check that out. It was funny.
All right, I'll check it out.
And Cass's delivery was perfect.
Not enough time in the day. I'll check that out later.
Yeah.
That happened there. Kevin Owens gave an interview with Todd Phillips.
What do you call him? He called him something else, though.
Trevor?
Terrence.
Terrence, yeah, there you go. And that was good, but then the interview transitioned over to Jericho, who was just lurking there, apparently.
Yeah.
And he said, Kevin Owens was originally going to be my guest on the
highlight
reel. Yeah, thank you. But Mick Foley said, no way. It's going to be so. Instead, it's going to be Kevin Owens' ex-best friend, Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
Which made my eyes light up.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, good. We're going to get Sami Zayn is getting a meaty feud now. Something's happening here.
And it was a great segment.
It was a really, really good segment. I actually really like one of our friendos, Iceman, said, why are they doing this best friend thing? I kind of like it because it's kind of a throwback to the way too many times they did this kind of silly feud with the Divas. And that was one of the reasons why the Divas division was so crap. Because it would always be like, oh, you backstabbed me, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of like that they're doing that with a guy like Jericho's obsession with being Kevin Owens' best friend.
Yeah, and then
is entertaining.
And then you have Sami Zayn trying to warn him, hey, he's going to backstab you at some point.
Exactly, yeah. I actually really like that. I think it's pretty funny.
And both guys did great. And Chris Jericho has a thing on highlight reel about bashing people with electronics.
That's right.
Because
Shawn Michaels, you know why he's cross-eyed now?
Because his head went through a television.
That's right.
And then Sami Zayn got the phone. Any other instances of Jericho
I'm sure
hitting someone with electronics?
There has to be. He knocked him with that phone, too.
Yeah,
this is going to be a really, really good match at Clash of Champions because this is where it's headed.
I really like it. They announced it last night.
And I would love for this feud to keep going, too. And this is the great thing about, like, when you bring in these relationships, like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, the number of potential feuds that you can expand with become kind of exponential, because then you get somebody like Jericho, who's Kevin Owens' best friend, and then Sami Zayn's his ex-best friend, and they can play with all that stuff.
And they can even get, since if Jericho interjects himself in the Owens Rollins feud, that's an avenue by which Sami Zayn could get put into it as well.
Exactly.
And just creates this larger narrative beyond just Owens and Rollins.
Yeah. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The Raw is so stacked at the top with really, really good talent.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know, look, SmackDown has AJ. Who else does SmackDown have?
John Cena, Dean Ambrose, Randy Orton.
Oh, no.
Bray Wyatt.
I know I'm going to get heat for this. I know that. I love AJ Styles is probably my favorite wrestler in the company right now.
Okay.
Probably my favorite wrestler in the company. Who's your favorite?
Probably Kevin Owens.
Number one guy. Number two guy.
My number two guy?
Yeah.
Either Seth or AJ.
Right, yeah. So it's like, to me, it's those three, but to me at the top, it's AJ.
Yeah.
Which is, and I'll fully admit this, a complete turnaround from when I found out that he was getting signed to the company.
Yeah.
And I'm totally fine with that. I'll eat crow. I'm totally fine saying I'm wrong. I love AJ Styles right now. You know when I turned for AJ, because when I saw him at the Rumble, I was like, man, he's getting a really good reaction. Looks really. Let me take a closer look at him. And I watched Wrestle Kingdom 10 with him and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, fucking okay. Now I know what I'm talking about. Okay, or now I know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
He's my number one guy. Bray Wyatt's up there too. I mean, granted, they use him horribly wrong. But I always love watching him in the ring.
Yeah.
And when he's got a promo that makes some sense, then I really like him.
Yeah,
I think that his character is really, really so good.
Yeah.
Beyond that, not a lot to like in terms of talent for me on SmackDown. Now, they're goofy and entertaining enough that I'll watch them and be entertained.
Yeah.
I like the women's division. I love Becky Lynch. I mean, she's up there too.
I mean, The Miz is doing good work.
He's doing
Slater
good work.
Is good work.
Heath Slater's a lot of fun.
The Usos are heel now. They
SmackDown is a fun wrestling show.
Yeah.
But they have nothing that, in my eyes, that can compete with Sami Zayn potentially matching up against Chris Jericho, or Sami Zayn potentially matching up against Seth Rollins or Kevin Owens again.
Well, they don't have that depth.
They don't have the depth at the top. Or at the like, there's just not a lot to work with.
And also,
there.
too, the depth they do have at the top, they seem to keep confined to their individual feuds.
Cena hasn't even been around since SummerSlam. And I know that's partially storyline, partially he has to go out and do stuff.
Yeah.
But, see, like, the fact that Cena can be gone for that long makes me think, why don't they just put him on Raw? I know you want Cena to try to make a big splash on SmackDown.
Yeah.
But if he's going to be gone a bunch, put him on Raw, you know? And give Brock Lesnar over to SmackDown if you really want to make it. Oh, that draft was a fucking mess.
Yeah, it was.
Anyways.
But yeah, I was going to say, like, if they could find a way on SmackDown to take their top 6 guys and create larger narratives that incorporate, probably not all, but at least a majority of them.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of, like they have the potential to on Raw, that could make the top of the card seem
SmackDown
larger.
SmackDown was so much more of a project than Raw. Raw just was left with so much more heavyweight talent at the top.
Yeah.
And so we get these great things. Like, I'm sorry, but the stuff between Seth Rollins and Mick Foley is really, really powerful, good stuff.
Yeah.
It's heavy stuff that you don't get on SmackDown. You get Dean Ambrose wearing a flipping cowboy hat out of a casino. And it's not there. And on Raw, it is. So let's see here. We had, like I said, we had a great interview, Kevin Owens and Jericho.
We can talk about Bo Dallas versus Brandon Scott.
We could talk about that. Does anybody out there care if we talk about that?
At least Bo wore ring gear that matched his sign.
That's you're so on Bo Dallas ring gear watch, aren't you?
It still had Outcast on it.
Yeah, okay.
But at least there was some unity in his presentation.
Okay. I was thinking about him, and I honestly think, because we've gotten this question a bunch about several wrestlers, but Bo Dallas specifically. How do you turn him legitimate? How do you get him up there in the mid card, the upper mid card? How do you get him there? And I honestly, at this point, I firmly believe the only way you can do it is through Bray. The only way. Because it could be really, really good through Bray.
Yeah, it could.
You know, if Bo does this thing where he's like taking out jobbers.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. One's on SmackDown, one's on Raw. But I just get this idea that Bray especially could really work with the concept of character, K-Fabe, of those things without referencing it directly. Say, you know, we all wear these masks in this business we're in, or in this realm, in this universe, whatever, however he'd refer to it. It's time to tear those down a little bit.
How about this?
He even can reference Husky Harris.
How about this? Let's say Bo goes through this current storyline at the end, comes up short of something.
Okay.
And Bo finds that he no longer believes.
Okay.
And he needs something to believe in.
Okay.
Who appears?
He starts to follow the buzzards.
Bray Wyatt.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a million ways you can do it.
Yeah.
I was thinking of one particular scenario. I'm not going to get into it. I'll save that for my WWE fanfic blog.
Okay.
So I don't know. I think but I honestly think that the best way, the most effective way, and honestly, I think one of the only ways to really turn Bo around these days is to get him with Bray Wyatt.
That'd be great.
It would be absolutely phenomenal. Like if Bray could make Bo, because, you know, Bray typically has been teamed with bigger dudes. That's, you know, they all look like this giant henchman.
Yeah.
It'd be more interesting now because they've gotten away from Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, who knows what he's going to do when he gets back. And obviously Braun Strowman's over there on Raw. It would be interesting to pair him with somebody who's closer to his size and brings a different dynamic than what he's used to.
Yeah. And someone who's also adept on the mic.
Oh, exactly. Somebody who could spar with Bray on the mic, because then your eventual split between the two would launch Bo into a more serious, legitimate direction.
Yes.
So, and you know, the blow off for that would be amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, think about Bo wearing a Bray Wyatt type outfit. And, you know, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
You know, have him grow a big old beard, because all them Wyatts need beards.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great. It'd be fantastic. But I don't know where they're going with this jobber thing. It's just, you know, it's a bummer, man. It's a bummer when you see like real talent and you can taste, you can just see it in your mind and how great it would be, and they don't do anything with it, you know.
That happens with a lot of guys though.
So yeah, then we had the highlight reel segment. We already talked about that. We had match 5. Yeah, Cesaro versus Sheamus. Cesaro this time sporting even more tape.
Yes.
Taped up all over the place.
I know.
Cesaro squeaked out a win. A decent match.
Yeah.
You know, obviously everybody.
Sheamus didn't work the back enough.
Right. Yeah.
He was trying to.
I agree. Cesaro won through nefarious means.
Yeah, he used the ring ropes
as leverage.
For leverage to help him with the pin.
For the pin. Sheamus was enraged. I don't care if it's not a sweep anymore, because obviously it's not going to be a sweep. I want Sheamus to win this thing. I want Sheamus to win this thing. How would Cesaro really benefit from winning this thing? How would he benefit? Sheamus, imagine it will go to 7.
Yes.
When it goes to 7, imagine Sheamus pulling off like the best performance of his life. Like a gritty performance. Both these guys, but Sheamus.
Okay.
Pulls off just a really gritty, and so you end up being like, holy crap, nobody wants to see somebody who's been down or who's been up 0-3 then choke. Like, nobody really wants to see that unless you're like rooting for your team who's down 0-3. But like, what if they let him blade? What if it was hardcore? I'm trying to come up with ways that I can get behind Sheamus.
Yeah.
I'm really trying here. That's why I want him to win this thing, because who cares if Cesaro wins it?
Everybody expected Cesaro to win.
He's going to be over.
Yeah.
You know, Cesaro loses. They trade at Raw. They have Miz drop the belt to somebody else on SmackDown. They trade Miz over to SmackDown they trade Cesaro over to SmackDown for the Miz. There you go. That's what you do.
Or keep the Miz on SmackDown and have Cesaro get there somehow and have him feud with the Miz.
There you go.
For the IC belt.
There you go. Yeah, I want Miz to stay on SmackDown. They need him there.
Yes.
They really need him there.
Because
I think he can be, again, SmackDown, kind of a project show. They can build him, again, into like a legitimate main eventer, not somebody who's going to crow about him being in the main event.
Yes.
So, yeah. We also had Foley, like I said, Foley and Rollins. You know, Foley's been saying, look, you're a top-tier talent, but I can't have you dicking around on my show and interfering in matches where you don't belong.
Yeah, this whole segment was essentially Foley warning Rollins not to interfere in the main event. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, there was going to be consequences.
Consequences. Finger wagging. Which, of course, Rollins did, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
We'll get to that later.
Nia Jax and Alicia Fox carrying on their feud that started last week.
Yeah. They replayed the segment from last week where Alicia Fox accidentally threw the tissue box in
Actually,
Nia
at
Jax's
her face. Yeah.
And it was funny because I didn't notice it when I watched it, but yeah, Alicia Fox was startled that
She was startled like this. Because it's like, oh, it's probably your friend.
Yeah.
They probably, trade tips on things. I don't know what girls talk about. What? We trade tips on things.
I guess that's true.
Don't we? On life in general?
Not really.
No?
We only talk about work and wrestling.
I don't want any of those guys' tips, to be honest with you. Nia Jax destroyed Alicia Fox. Destroyed her. And it was brilliant. It was great. It was so entertaining. Alicia Fox, got to give her credit. She sold like a champ.
Yeah.
She absolutely sold getting destroyed by Nia Jax. I like that. I just wonder where it's going to go after this.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like with Nia, and I guess also with Braun Strowman, they took the matches, the squash matches against jobbers to their conclusion, and now they have to start having feuds with main roster talents.
Yeah. Let's see here. We had a Roman interview, which I actually...
No, you skipped over New Day versus the Club.
Yeah, the New Day came out and essentially apologized for what happened last week with the Club and the Old Day. They said entertainment's supposed to be our thing. They said, let's roll a clip. And Big E said, I'm joking. We burned it. We burned all that footage.
Yeah.
So they said, no, entertainment's our thing. They did a little thing. And then the Club comes out, and they mean business. No more of this comedy act, which...
Yeah.
How much do you love the fact that their comedy bit tanked so bad that we got the Club that we like back?
I know.
No more comedy for the Club, just kicking ass.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, I know.
Because it was way too much. Like, even when they were doing the stuff that I was laughing at, I was like, comedy? Like, really? Comedy? These guys? So yeah, they took on the New Day in a non-title match.
And beat them.
It was a good match.
It was.
I love when they let Xavier wrestle, man.
I know.
I know. He's so good.
He is really good.
He's so flipping good. So yeah, the Club went over. Tell me, man, what is the New Day going to drop these belts or what? The Clash of Champions.
They keep mentioning how long they've had those belts. They've made a point of mentioning it ever since they were approaching the WWE Tag Team Championship record.
It's so far off though. Them having these belts.
It's another 3 months.
I feel we're at the point now. They need 3 months, man. 3 months isn't that long, but it kind of is. And I feel like the Club needs to strike now. Look, I mean, people can always be rehabbed back into relevancy. But what, the New Day, just for another 3 months carrying these belts?
But then say if the New Day beats the Club, who's next for the New Day?
That's another point. Exactly right. So I don't know, because then if the Club get the belts, they can feud with any number of people, probably Enzo and Cass off the bat.
Yeah.
So I honestly believe that they have the one streak that they really wanted. And this next streak might be, the one that they're mentioning so much now, might be sort of the prize on top of the prize that the Club can then claim.
Yeah.
And give them that extra amount of bragging rights, give them something extra they can rub in the New Day's face.
Yeah.
That's my gut feeling. Do you think they've decided anything yet?
No. I wouldn't be surprised if the Club's win last night was the only win they get.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. Chances are they haven't even decided these things yet. I am constantly tickled at the fact that we predict things that haven't even been decided yet.
We do it all the time.
We do it all the time, I mean, is that going to mess with your psyche now?
No.
You're never going to say, what does it matter? They haven't decided yet.
No.
Me neither, because it's fun. Speaking of jobbers, Jinder Mahal.
Oh, we don't want to talk about Roman's interview briefly?
Oh, no, we don't really.
Did you see it?
I keep on skipping ahead to things. I did actually see it.
It wasn't very good.
That was around the time I turned on the TV.
It wasn't very good. He didn't seem like he believed in what he was saying.
Roman understood perfectly what was going to happen. I think they had decided at that point that he was not going to be in the triple threat match.
They decided that long ago, I'm sure.
A long time. That's one of the few things that they have decided.
They booked the match, and then they decided right away, okay.
How close to the CM Punk fight did you think they decided he was going to get squashed?
You mean the UFC fight?
Yeah. Well, 2.5 years?
Yeah.
They brought him in specifically to... How old was Mickey Gall when CM Punk signed with the UFC? Like 12?
He's 24 now.
Oh man, had he even started training in MMA at that point?
I think so, because he's had a couple fights. Well, maybe not.
Maybe he had like 2 fights.
Wow.
I mean, he probably had a bunch on the local level. Do they count those?
Yeah.
They.
He said he was. Well, I mean, he's got a brown belt in jiu-jitsu or something like that.
Yeah.
I think. So I don't know if he's in any competitions in that. But in terms of MMA, I think he's two. He was two.
He was like 2-0.
2-0.
I think, yeah.
And those weren't in the UFC, so they have to count regional promotions.
That's fantastic. I love it. Oh, moving on. Let's see here.
Jinder Mahal versus Jack Swagger.
They let Jinder cut a promo. Mm-hmm. And I kind of remember why maybe they let him go on the front. His promo skills are not that great. He was okay. But He was okay. But he wasn't as, he looks amazing. He's got that face that just is really TV made. You know what I mean? And his words don't really have the gravitas, as you like to say, to match. I didn't feel. He beat Jack Swagger, though.
Yeah.
I think that, look, dude, here's the thing. Like, there's jobbers, and then there's kind of jobbers to the stars, and he's kind of okay, Randy Orton is like anybody fighting Brock Lesnar, I guess technically is a jobber to the stars.
I guess.
Because you're jobbing to Brock Lesnar. Jinder Mahal, they had to give him this win against Jack Swagger, so then he can then go on and lose against people like, for example, Chris Jericho.
Yeah. Sami Zayn.
Enzo. Cass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jack Swagger took a loss against Jinder Mahal.
And then after the match, there was an interview with Jack Swagger where Tom Phillips said, "Hey, your contract's almost up.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?"
Yeah.
And Jack Swagger just gave him an angry stare and walked away. So is that a tease for Jack Swagger transitioning over to SmackDown? He will be a free agent soon.
Gee, I mean, do you want Jack Swagger on SmackDown? Does it matter where Jack Swagger is? Let me ask, this is probably a more pertinent question. Which needs Jack Swagger more, Superstars or main event? That's kind of the bigger question, because that's where he's going to be residing, no matter where he ends up.
I'd like to see him go to SmackDown because there he'll have a chance.
You have to give it up for Jack Swagger, though, because he's been around for a long time. He was a former World Heavyweight Champion, and he still does the job.
I know.
You haven't heard him ever say, I mean, maybe he does, but you haven't heard him ever bitch about, they're not using me right. They're not, you never hear about him on Twitter saying, screw this, they're not using me right. He just seems happy to have his job, I wonder if he got like a sweet contract in the beginning. That's why they pushed him so hard. Like, maybe he had a really good agent or something.
That could be.
And so he's like, the hell do I care? My hotel and travel are paid for. But what do you think they gave Swagger a bus?
I don't know. It seems like they
There's
reserve that.
The answer is no.
Let me finish. I'm pretty sure they reserve that for the top tier guys.
The only bus they could give Jack Swagger is a Lex Express, if that's still around. It's all like rusted out.
That would be a great storyline.
That would be a really good. Yeah, Swagger on the Lex Express.
Yeah.
Would you mean him actually campaigning town to town?
Or just him doing some sort of bus tour in the Lex Express bus.
I agree with that totally.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah. What would the swag wagon?
Yeah. There you go.
That's terrible. Let's see here. We had Enzo versus Epico. Enzo jobbed because Epico cheated.
Yeah.
We had a great little moment with Owens and Rollins
backstage.
Backstage.
Was fantastic.
It was really good. Where
Owens really knows how to talk trash.
He does, yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. Let's see here. Owens, because he didn't let Rollins get away with being condescending. That was the thing. He's, you think that's funny? And he just kept on throwing shit at him, and Rollins had to keep eating it.
Yep.
Let's see here. We had in the main event, which was a fantastic pay-per-view level match, man. This is if we ever had Owens versus Roman Reigns at like WrestleMania in some form or fashion, this would be that match.
Yeah.
This was really, really, really good.
Good.
And of course, we know that they're going to book Roman strong, and so he ended up. It had a really pay-per-view-ish finish too.
Yeah.
Because Seth Rollins, against Mick Foley's deep wishes, came out to interfere, not Kevin Owens for a loop.
Yeah.
Mick Foley comes out with a head full of steam and security.
Yeah.
Fit Finley. He brought out Fit Finley.
And Adam Pearce.
Oh, that was Adam Pearce. That's right. I was trying to figure out who that was.
Yeah, it's Adam Pearce.
That's right. He came up to become an agent or something, producer. But really, Fit Finley. He's the man. You don't want to fuck with Fit Finley.
No, I know.
He'll probably put you in some holds.
Oh, yeah.
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 He used to carry around that, what's it called, shillelagh?
Yes.
Knock people for a loop. He didn't have it this time. Maybe he had it in his jacket.
Could be.
Maybe. Anyways, because he looked very confident.
I mean, it's Fit Finley.
It's Fit Finley. He's naturally a confident guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. His kid's in New Japan, too.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, Dave Finley. He's got like the worst beard I've ever seen. He literally has the beard that I could grow. It looks horrible.
You should try it.
No, I'm not going to. Never,
Okay.
Ever, never.
But
I know my limitations.
Foley comes out, and after they break up Rollins and Owens,
Yeah.
and he says, "Get to the locker room. I'm going to have a talk with you."
Ooh, man. I had shades of like being in school, you know?
I
Like
know.
we're gonna have a talking to you, man.
So I expect next week we'll learn what these consequences are for Seth Rollins. I mean, what do you think? What do you think they're going to do? Like,
Stern talking to is enough, man.
are they going to make him have a match to keep his #1 contendership? Something like that.
That could very well be. That could be. But given that we've already seen commercials for it, it's unlikely that's going to change anything. Who could he pie? He could maybe face
Reigns.
Reigns? Yeah, I keep on putting Reigns in the ringer. Anyways, it was... So Mick Foley says, we're going to have a Stern talking to, and then he says, but the match is going to end this way, restart it. Kevin Owens gets pissed off, throws Roman Reigns into some steps. They go at it some more.
Yeah.
Reigns gave a really great... He loaded up for the Superman punch. Owens deflected it with like a mirror kick, like a really simple front kick.
Yeah.
But Reigns immediately reloaded, and Kevin Owens sold this so well. This dude crumbled to the ground in such a fluid fashion. It reminded me of WCW
I was say that too.
NWO
Base hit.
World Tour base hit. I was like, oh my God, he just mimicked the base hit to perfection. Like even the sound, you know, the bass, just the crumble to the ground. Kicked out of it,
Yeah.
which was awesome. Booking Kevin Owens strong.
Yes. And Kevin Owens dominated most of the match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. He totally did. And then right before the finish, Rusev came down, or the finish was Rusev
Distracted Reigns.
Reigns walked right into a pop-up powerbomb. Got that 1, 2, 3. That's a devastating move right there.
It is.
Even on a distracted Roman a year ago, he would have kicked out of that.
Maybe.
I think so.
And then Rusev got in the ring and beat the hell out of Reigns, stomped him on his back,
Yeah.
said Machka.
Put him in a nasty accolade.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's fresh off his honeymoon. All sorts of... Man, Lana's been lighting up her Instagram with all sorts of videos of her showing off their honeymoon locations while wearing very skimpy clothing. And it's so funny because she always like... I'll be watching these things. I'll be like... Geez, Lana, cover up a little bit. Like, I don't really want to do, but I'm like, man, you know, if Rusev gets if he figures out how to use Instagram, he's gonna be like, what the hell are you doing? Your titties hanging out all this time. Because she'll like show where she is, and then she'll show herself in like a selfie, and the camera will always incidentally tilt down a little bit.
Yeah.
And she's always wearing a bikini, like a
Yeah.
very tiny bikini.
Yeah.
You know, I've analyzed these pretty heavily. You know when I say
Seems
there's
like
not enough time in the day? Because that's what I'm usually doing, looking at Lana's Instagram. So anyways, Rusev, fresh off a honeymoon where he got to expel a lot of bodily fluids.
Okay.
I'm talking about sweat. You know, he goes out there,
okay.
he does a lot of exercising on
All
the
right.
beach.
I was wondering how
you know.
I was wondering how you're gonna put that.
I meant they have a lot of sex.
Yeah,
That's what I meant, really.
Probably.
Yeah. So anyways, they look like a really fun-loving couple. But all fun was over. Honeymoon's over. He's back to business. He's back to Machka. He tore the shit out of fucking Roman Reigns.
I just love it whenever he says Machka. Oh, cracks me up so
Machka
much.
means crush, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it does. So that was a great ending to a really fantastic. I thought that was a really good ending. Fantastic. Look, you were not gonna see Kevin Owens. Nobody's gonna get the clean win on Roman these days.
Yeah.
They're back to, you know,
Protecting him.
And here's the thing, though, I'm okay with that because he's in a feud with Rusev, and this elevates that U.S. belt.
Yeah.
So up there.
So often they've treated the U.S. belt as if it was, if not on par with the Universal title, just a small step below.
The Intercontinental.
No, the Universal title.
Oh, wait.
They're treating
They're
treating the U.S. belt as if it's just a slight step
just
down.
under the You're
Yes.
absolutely right because Roman's in there, and it's like there's nobody else really. It's like after Roman, maybe if Rusev keeps it, which I hope he does. Maybe if Sami Zayn gets in there in that picture, then it keeps that belt so high up there.
Yeah, because before the Universal title made its debut, Rusev was main eventing, what, 3 Raws in a row?
Right.
It just made the belt look strong, made him look strong.
Right.
And elevated that belt.
The funny thing is, though, it's so funny. We talked about sort of the SmackDown conundrum right now. And it's funny because not only is the U.S. belt up there just under the not only is the U.S. belt up there just under the Universal belt, but Raw doesn't really have a mid-card.
Yeah.
Enzo and that's tag.
Yeah.
There's no real mid-card here. I mean, I guess it would be Sami Zayn, maybe Neville, but he wasn't on TV.
Yeah.
But Sami Zayn mixing it up with Jericho is their mid-card, which is that's a very high mid-card.
Yeah.
SmackDown has the entire mid. That's what happened, huh? SmackDown just took like a couple of main eventers and the entire mid-card.
Because, a lot of the mid-card went to SmackDown. Now in SmackDown, it seemed like they have their 6 top guys, The Miz and Dolph, who are the mid-card, and then everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. It's so weird.
It is weird.
That brand split was so weird. That did so much to just make everything really weird.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
You want to answer some questions?
Yeah, let's answer some questions.
Josh, what will Bayley do since she's not fighting for the championship? Well, that remains to be seen. She could be put into that match.
Baby, all 4 shoulders were down, baby.
Or she can just have a match with Dana Brooke.
Listen, the Bayley. Yeah, because, I mean, you know, you could pose the question, what does Dana Brooke do at this point?
Yes. Carlos Hackworth. This was a good show. What do you think Seth Rollins' punishment will be, such as being kicked off the Raw roster and forced to go to SmackDown Live, or be put down to the mid-card matches? I suspect, as we mentioned earlier, that
He'll have to fight for
his spot.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Flame Spitter. Do you think the WWE will go back to the draft format for Raw and SmackDown every year like they have done in previous years? I hope they do what in fantasy football is called a keeper league.
Yeah.
Each brand can keep 5 guys, 10 guys, probably 5.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is up to be drafted.
I honestly wish they would not do that, and they would go through. I would rather want to see, instead of a draft, a trade deadline or a trade window.
Yeah.
Where they're not allowed to trade until this period of time.
Or this popped in my head. Sorry to interrupt you. With the mention that Jack Swagger's contract is up, have that be a thing where people's contract come up, they're free agents. They can negotiate with either brand.
Yeah, here's my thing. I guess my broader point is exactly that. I don't want to see another draft. I want to see those rosters build and strengthen based on contracts running out, based on trades, based on that type of stuff, as opposed to a wholesale draft where even if 5 people are protected, you still see a lot of roster turnover there. I don't really want to see that, because if I invest in Tuesdays watching SmackDown, I want to follow those people through their careers.
You want a dynasty league.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
KJ from NY. Hey, friendos.
Hello.
Which title reign do you think will last longer? Shinsuke in NXT, Owens on Raw, or AJ on SmackDown?
AJ is my prediction.
So you think KO will drop the belt before WrestleMania?
I'd say the Rumble. There's too many people.
It's possible.
Unless they go with KO Finn at Mania. If KO's reign, I think it kind of depends on 2 things. I think AJ is the best person to try to get SmackDown out of their ratings doldrums.
I agree.
However, I think that if their ratings don't go up, I think the last thing they're going to do
is put the belt on
is
Cena.
put the belt on somebody else.
Oh, you think so?
I don't.
You don't think, say the SmackDown continues to struggle.
AJ drops it at like Survivor Series or the Rumble.
To Cena.
Cena is the only thing that could possibly make make the ratings go up. Maybe. I would say my hunch. Oh God. My hunch would be, because there's so much top-level talent on Raw, that belt is probably more likely to get passed around a little bit more than the world title on SmackDown. So I'm going to say my hunch would be AJ would have it the longest.
Okay. When do you think...
WrestleMania Cena.
No, when do you think Shinsuke is going to drop that belt? The NXT belt.
Shit. I don't even know.
Will he drop it to Bobby Roode?
I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't. No. If he does, it's going to be Bobby Roode finding some way to cheat against Shinsuke.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, who's next in line to capture the NXT belt?
I mean, theoretically, Bobby Roode, yeah. But, I mean, Samoa Joe is still up there.
Yeah. Well, he'll be telling.
I'll put it this way. I would think it's more likely for Shinsuke to drop that belt back to Samoa Joe and then leave than it is for Bobby Roode to take it off Shinsuke.
Okay.
That would be.
See, I think it'll be if at the next takeover, if they have their rematch, as I think we both assume will happen. If Joe loses, he's getting called up. Like quickly.
You think they're gonna call up Joe?
That's the pattern they have though. Whoever drops the belt.
Oh, I know.
They lose a rematch and they're on main.
Yeah.
Or in Kevin Owens' case, he was on main before that. That's just the pattern they've been doing. That's what they did with Neville, I believe. He got called up, like a couple months after he dropped the belt, or a few months.
Yeah.
But he lost it. Actually, I don't think he ever had his rematch, or did he?
Yeah, I think he did.
But that's just typically how they do it.
Yeah.
This just happened with Bayley too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So
it's a very obvious pattern, though.
Yeah. No, I know.
So I don't know.
Lucas Coward Marshall, what is your favorite belt of all time?
In terms of what it looks like, or in terms of like just the lineage and prestige and all that?
Either.
Okay. The belt that I like the most that looks like is, if excluding the Friendo Unified Championship Wrestling H belt, I would say whatever belt that was, that I guess the old NWA belt that looked like tarnished mirror that's been sitting outside too long.
Yeah.
With the United States map on it.
Yeah.
That.
Okay.
It's so ugly. And I like things that are ugly. But, I mean, barring that, the WWF belt when Shawn Michaels won it.
Yeah.
The winged one.
Yeah, that one's great.
But with the black strap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Jeffrey D. When do you think the first trade between brands will happen, if at all, and who would benefit from it the most?
When do you think the first trade between brands will happen? Oh, God. I think soon. I think within the next 2 months. Next 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, if we see Cesaro switch brands,
I could see a Cesaro or Miz thing happening.
Mm-hmm. Bailey Bearden. With Bailey Bearden being a legit boss and calling the end of Raw's main event, do you think Rusev will retain at Clash of Champions?
I do.
I hope so.
I do.
I really hope so.
Because you can make a star you can make a bigger star out of Rusev. I mean, the only thing I can think of is, man, do you have Rusev lose that U.S. title and launch him into the Universal title scene?
Not with KO as champ.
I don't like that. I don't even like that. Have Rusev continue to build that U.S. title so it's really prestigious.
Yeah.
And then a champion versus champion type thing.
And then after, say, Finn recaptures the Universal belt at WrestleMania, Finn Rusev.
You know what I really wish they'd do is make that U.S. belt bigger. You know?
You mean in size?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it bigger.
The 26-time European champion.
Like 12 at this point.
He says, I know she's still green, but when does WWE flip the switch and give Nia Jax a run with the Raw Women's Championship?
I hate how much of a shadow this thing has. Continue.
I could see her being a dominant champion in the women's division.
Post-Mania.
Yeah.
She's going to come out and challenge Bayley.
Especially if Bayley captures the belt. Yes.
Yeah.
X-Ray guy. Hey there, friendos.
Hello.
What are the chances Dana will end up costing Charlotte the title at Clash? And do you see a feud with Bayley to try to get her back into her good graces?
What are the chances Dana will end up costing Charlotte the title? Oh.
A lot. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
Dana versus Charlotte. Yeah, that gives them both something to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Luke, do you guys think Bobby Roode would make a good authority heel on Raw, such as Triple H was in the Attitude Era? They should
give him Triple H's shovel ability to bury everybody with. I think that I don't even know if that's possible these days.
And his current character doesn't really fit that.
Yeah, his glorious theme is too much of a crowd favorite.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know.
I think a lot of mornings I listen to Glorious Domination just to.
I know, I do too.
Like $1 million.
I think he's just in that predicament where he can't be. I mean, he can't be a true heel.
He's always good. Well, as long as that's his theme.
Yeah,
he's gonna be the heel that everybody likes.
Yeah.
And he's been around for a while. He's done a lot of good work. People respect him.
Mm-hmm. Next.
And his current character is fantastic. Damian Clark. What are the odds that Cena wins the Rumble next year and goes on to face and beat Styles at WrestleMania for his record-tying 16th
I think the odds are good.
Yeah, very good.
I do. They might fast-track that.
Depending on the ratings. Would be awesome if they built up that match. Everybody expects Cena to win.
Yeah.
And AJ still wins at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
What they could do, I thought about this. Like have Cena go after that belt. This would help kind of build up Cena a little bit. Have Cena keep going after that belt. Like have him fight for 2 or 3 pay-per-views in a row.
Yeah.
And Styles just keeps beating him.
Yeah, yeah.
Whether cleanly or not, he just keeps winning and gets in Cena's head and he's like, gosh, I can't beat AJ Styles.
Yeah.
Until at WrestleMania, the grandest stage of them all, he finally does it.
I like it.
It would make AJ look like $1 million.
Yep.
It'd be fantastic.
I like it a lot.
Patrick Sparks, 2 questions.
Yep.
What, in your opinion, was the most prestigious title run, for example, CM Punk's? And with WWE having newer talent beat old record title reigns, when do you think the Honky Tonk Man's IC record will be broken and by whom?
I honestly think the most prestigious title reign in the past 10 years was Punk's 400-plus day reign. He made such a point of wanting to elevate that belt and wanting to say, hey, 300 days and counting, 400 days and counting. And then you could tell that how much of a bummer it was to him that he had to just job it out to The Rock because of that stupid rivalry he had with John Cena.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
Yeah.
You know, they just torpedoed that. He could have had so many good storylines using that belt, so many more, and WWE could have not lost CM Punk to the UFC.
I know.
And everybody could have been happy. There was zero reason to put that belt back on The Rock.
I know.
Zero reason.
I know. It really didn't add anything to the story.
It didn't. It did not.
The second part of the question, I don't think anybody will break Honky Tonk Man's record because I don't know if they're going to keep the Intercontinental title on someone for 400-plus days. I think that's the record. It's 400-something days.
Is it for the Honky Tonk Man? Honky Man? Oh, man. I don't know. Nobody's really threatening to take Miz's IC title away, and he keeps on talking about how many hundreds of days, 150 days or so. He's got 250 left plus to beat Honky Tonk Man's record. I don't know. If you want to make Miz into something big.
I don't know if that'll do it.
I don't know if that'll do it either, to be honest with you.
Hold on. 454 days is the longest.
All right. By 300 days, you would think Miz would be ready to jump up to the next level.
Yes.
You know, so I don't know. Probably not.
Bunsey the Frog. New Day were passing out bootios on the way down the ramp. The Shining Stars were passing around Puerto Rico flyers. What would other superstars hand out on their way to the ring? What's the most ridiculous thing lawsuits or PGB damned a Raw superstar could give out?
All right. I could see Baron Corbin handing out coupons. Natalia handing out coupons.
Seth Rollins should hand out blueprints. He's the architect.
That'd be a little unwieldy, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it'd make for a great souvenir, though.
It would. Sami Zayn could pass out mixtapes of his ska band.
There you go.
Enzo could pass out mixtapes because he likes to rap. He does the rapping stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody just pass out mixtapes is what I want to see.
Mitchell Elam. Hey, friendos, new patron and big fan.
Thanks.
Listening to the podcast really helps me get through the day at work, seeing as I load 18-wheeler trailers for UPS all day.
Whoa.
So I figured the least I could do was kick a little over to you guys. Thank you very much.
Really appreciate that.
Anyways, I live in northern Kentucky, and I'm seeing a bunch of ads for Raw on the 26th with Rollins versus Owens and Reigns versus Rusev for the belts. So I was wondering how you think they will book getting there. Thanks. Too sweet. That's the day after Clash of Champions, I believe.
Okay. Rollins versus Owens.
So rematches, one would assume, of the Clash of Champions title matches.
Yeah, I would think, I would, two things. I wouldn't put too much stock in what they advertise.
Yeah, that changes all the time.
Because that changes all the time. They'll often, to give you an idea of what type of matches you can expect.
Or who you could expect to be there.
Who you could expect to be there. Then they announce that stuff. So, I mean, look, we know no matter what, Rollins and Reigns and Rusev are gonna, they're gonna have their
program going on for a while.
Their program going on for a little while. Same with Rollins and Owens.
Yeah. Jericho Kunzman. Hey, friendos. What should Jack Swagger's new gimmick be? They
just needed to rip off Heath Slater's gimmick because his contract's coming up. Just verbatim, word for word.
Yeah.
Except who would his Rhino partner be instead of Rhino? Who would it be? Another ECW original.
It has to be ECW original?
Yes. How would it not be Jack Swagger and Tommy Dreamer?
Because Tommy Dreamer was offered a contract.
He'd be short term. Rhino's not going to be around that long.
I was trying to think outside the box.
RVD.
Again, outside the box. Primetime Brian Lee.
he alive still? He's alive.
Yeah, we checked, I believe.
Did we? Okay.
Yeah, back when
Since when we checked?
Since we first mentioned him, like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Chandler 3 Productions. Would you guys agree that seeing a triple threat match with Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte would be better than just seeing a rematch of Sasha and Charlotte?
I don't necessarily agree, although I would prefer it for Sasha's health. But also to illustrate how big Bayley is. That being said, I'm not saying that because I wouldn't want to see another Sasha-Charlotte match.
Yeah.
I think if both people are healthy, then they can put on something that's really, really
I
good.
think even if we get Sasha versus Charlotte at Clash, we will eventually get that triple threat between now and WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Joe Rans. With champions like Kevin Owens, AJ, and Rusev, what men's singles belts are going to change hands between now and Mania? He could only really see The Miz dropping, but only if someone is booked right. Oh, we kind of touched on that. I kind of agree with you that with all the talent at the top of the Raw card, there's a decent chance the Universal title will change hands maybe once or twice between now and Mania.
Yeah.
SmackDown really doesn't have the upper mid-card depth for that to happen a whole lot.
I think with Rusev, it's either going to be Reigns or nobody for a very long time. I don't know if they're going to pull the trigger on Reigns having the U.S. title or not. A part of me thinks that they would prefer to keep him above the U.S. title, but Rusev trying to make that U.S. title be even big. You know what I mean? Like putting the U.S. title on Reigns after he was chasing the...
Doesn't really elevate it.
Doesn't really elevate it.
No.
But Rusev oddly does.
Yeah, he does.
It's a weird dynamic.
Yeah. Dylan Caraballo or
Caraballo.
Yeah. Hey, friendos.
Hello.
After how he's been booked, how would you feel about Bray Wyatt asking for his release and signing with Lucha Underground? Seems like the perfect place for his dark and creepy character.
He couldn't really do that thing. He'd have to be like, Bray Rotunda or whatever.
Yeah.
He'd probably, no, I don't like it. I see what you're saying. I think that is a good venue for him.
Yeah.
I just think that the WWE is the place to be for him because once one of them writers figures out how to do it, then he could be a lot of money still.
Yep. Giovanni Lugo. Hey, friendos, new patron. I've become a big fan of the videos podcast the past few months.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate the support.
He offers up some fantasy booking for the
Okay, let's
Universal
hear
title. Owen holds it until Rumble.
Okay.
And loses it to Rollins.
Okay.
Balor comes back and wins the Rumble to challenge Rollins at Mania, making it a face versus face match.
Okay.
At Mania, the club helps AJ retain the WWE title, and during Balor versus Rollins, they come out and looks like they're going to help Rollins win, but end up helping Balor, therefore turning him heel and making him an official member of the club. Nice too sweet to end off the night.
Too sweet right here, dude. Just look, new camera, no white pixel, a new, fresh, clean slate. Let's just too sweet every single episode.
Okay, well, too sweet.
All right, let's do it.
Nope.
Ah! That was just an obvious. You can't force your heel turn, man. You can't force it. Let it happen naturally.
There's nothing forced about that. I've not been too sweeting you for 6 months now.
But like faking me a too sweet?
It had to happen eventually.
Who's writing you?
Nobody.
Can we make heel Larson shirts?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, I like it.
We've been saying for a while that Balor is not going to be heel.
Balor's going to be an even big... If he had never been injured, it's possible.
When he returns, he's going to get a huge pop.
He's going to get a massive pop. There's no way they're going to be able to turn him heel. This ain't the Attitude Era where they just turn heel, like super over faces heel and back and forth.
Yeah.
Nah, I like the idea, and I would... Don't get me wrong, Giovanni. I would love to see that. Not going to happen.
Yeah. Tom Bad Guy. Could you guys make a video or series of videos explaining wrestling terminology for people like him, Tom Bad Guy, who are new to this? Yeah. Maybe just add a ticker or something to the YouTube videos. Thanks, you guys are the best.
I like the idea of a terminology ticker.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good. Yeah, maybe one day we'll do a video explaining the terms.
We can find examples through wrestling history, too.
Oh, I like that. That's good. Interesting. That's a good idea.
Like, we talk about K-Fabe and bring up the curtain call and things like that.
Yeah.
That'd be
I like it. It's good.
Marty McFly Garcia. So when is Brock versus Shane going to happen? And do you think in that match, Brock destroys Shane to a bloody pulp, Goldberg comes to save Shane and sets up a match for Royal Rumble or WrestleMania?
The next cross-promotional show or cross-brand show is Survivor Series?
Yeah.
I imagine there's going to be an encounter there, if not with Brock directly. Shane and Stephanie talking about Brock, maybe. So I think this is a long game that'll probably culminate, if not the Rumble, then Mania.
I don't want to see Brock versus Shane.
Okay, that's not the question, though. I don't. Ask me right now. Do I want to see Brock
I know
versus
the
Shane?
answer, so I'm not going to ask the question.
Ask the question.
Do you want to see Brock
No,
versus
of course
Shane?
I don't want to see. Nobody wants to see it. It's going to happen regardless. He's asking when.
Hopefully never.
Yeah.
Lord Craiglesworth Esquire III.
What a great name.
Hey there, friendos.
Hello.
Do you think this whole Bo Dallas as a squasher thing is going to lead to more wrestlers who aren't quite as physically imposing getting into the winning side of more squash matches? And if so, do you think that's why they're doing it with Bo as a test run?
I wonder how much more of the squash match local enhancement talent thing we're going to see. I would think any more would be overkill, and I would think they should know that.
Yes.
So I wouldn't suggest... It could be more likely that Braun's success as a local enhancement squasher might have said, hey, let's try the same thing with Bo Dallas.
And
see how
I think
it goes.
we've seen both Nia Jax and Braun Strowman move beyond
You gonna throw up
squashing local talent. No, that Del Taco is just making me burp.
right now?
I'm sorry.
Nice.
Will Fernandez.
That'd be kind of funny if you did throw up, though. I mean, it wouldn't. It'd be gross. I'd probably start yelling at
It'd
you.
probably smell really bad.
Sorry, you want to see a heel turn?
There you go.
Throw up.
My heel turn would be vomiting on this table.
No, it'd be a double turn.
Yeah.
You turn
I guess it would be a
face,
face, yeah.
because you're the sympathetic guy
I guess
vomiting
so.
everywhere.
That gets violently ill.
Nobody wants to be yelled at if they're throwing up.
Well, I mean, if I did it purposely, like if I, stuck my finger down my throat and forced
don't do
myself.
that.
No, I'm not going to do that. It's uncomfortable.
Move on.
Will Fernandez. Hey, friendos. I was wondering, out of these wrestlers, who do you think will have a legitimate title run the next 2 or 3 years with either the Universal or World title? Dolph? No. Bray Wyatt? Maybe.
We can always hope.
Chris Jericho?
Nah.
Doubtful. The Miz?
Nah.
Rusev?
Rusev in the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah,
he's gonna
definitely.
He's got to be at the Universal
Definitely.
title scene by then.
Definitely.
It's the only place he can go.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that too. I like that.
James,
That'd be a hell of a path for him too.
Yeah.
because he's been around for a little while now.
James Garcia. With the news of Jack Swagger's contract expiring, who do you believe should join the SmackDown roster or the Raw roster that are also close to having their contracts expiring? It looks like Swagger may either be sent to SmackDown or be repackaged.
Swagger on SmackDown, I guess. If you're talking about clean slates,
They can come up with a creative storyline for him, give him something to do.
give him somebody to. I thought he was good when he had Zeb Coulter with him. When he had Dutch Mantel with him. So give him something. Give him a mouthpiece. Because that dude really is not great on the mic.
Suicide King DP.
I do like his look though. He's got massively long arms.
He does.
His arms are so long.
They are.
I like that look.
Hey guys, so glad you pronounced my name right.
How do you not pronounce Suicide King?
I don't know. I have another question for you two. This time about the finish of the women's match opener. Much more straightforward. Sasha really looked like she had her shoulders down too during the pin, right?
No, you already heard us talk about that a little
he
bit.
did. She did. Sorry.
But the only question is Bayley going to bring this up next week?
Yeah. Dan Boss.
Hi, I'm Dan Boss.
Oh, there's two
Welcome to Job.
Two related questions. Both, one from Dan Boss, one from Jefferson. They asked, have we seen Delete or Decay yet?
Not yet. Not
We've
yet.
watched that.
And Jefferson, not yet.
Not yet.
No, I would like to, but I have not.
We'll get to it.
More people are asking us about this than CM Punk.
I know.
So I think we should definitely do a reaction video to this, last Battle of Atlanta, and then like a GIF of CM Punk's fight.
Okay.
Like a 15-second GIF.
Well, that's about how long it was, it felt like.
I know.
Ulysses the Odyssey Ramirez.
What a great name.
It is.
Much better than Ulysses Orangevale's name, which is I can barely even pronounce.
Hey, friendos, longtime fan and new patron here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My question sort of lingers in the middle of both Raw and SmackDown. After the action/booking of Rollins last night with both Foley backstage and his attack in the main event, do you think Rollins is taking the mantle, becoming a better Stone Cold tweener type than Ambrose? P.S. I'm pretty sure I'm the third Ulysses here, and Ulysses is a pretty unique name, so any thoughts on the Ulysses-based Patreon faction getting started?
Well, I'm going to give you a word of advice. Odyssey. You don't want to be in a faction with Ulysses Orzabal. He is the commissioner of our Friendo Fantasy Football League, and he's not a good commissioner. He's crooked. There was like 2 years in a row where he gave himself the number one pick. He didn't acknowledge in a convincing fashion my absolute domination of the league week 1. He didn't acknowledge that somebody here got 3rd place.
No, I got 2nd because I won. I got the 3rd most points, but
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You get 3rd most points.
But
3rd most points.
Points isn't the
doesn't
primary
matter. It doesn't matter.
Metric
3rd
determining
most
winner.
points.
I'm 1-0 like you.
I beat the guy with the 2nd most points.
Who cares?
Yeah.
He had like, what, 2/100ths of a point?
I had
me?
most points.
By a point, I
I
think.
had
A
most
point and a half
points.
over me.
Most points.
And you barely won.
So
and I dominated.
The bottom line is this. Look, I don't know why you're crowing. I'm in 1st place, and you're in 3rd. The bottom line is this. You don't want to get into business with this guy.
Let's answer his question, though.
He's a good guy. He's a friend. But you don't want to be in a faction with him. He'll turn on you. He won't acknowledge your accomplishments.
Rollins better tweener than Ambrose. Yeah.
Yeah. Rollins is better than Ambrose in pretty much every respect.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not even close.
Heated Pillow. He asked how he could become the Going in Raw European champion. We already have a European champion.
Yeah, you gotta
He is the 26th?
I'm not sure exactly how that belt is defended.
Well, every time he asks a question, we answer it. He gets a new title reign.
So would this guy have to ask a question of the current
Sure.
European champion?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Sure, we'll try that.
Yeah.
And if the current European champion doesn't answer, then he retains the belt.
That's right.
And
But if he does answer, then Heated Pillow will be the
Heated
new
Pillow is the
one-time
one-time
European
European
champion.
champion.
So ask him a question and see if he responds.
Kyle Douglas. Serious question. Do you think AJ Styles likes Cool Ranch Doritos?
Probably not. He's very fit. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm fat, and even I don't like Cool Ranch Doritos.
Yeah, I don't like them either.
I mean, they taste all right.
Well, he could like them, but not eat them.
Maybe they're his guilty pleasure. He's
For like, I really like donuts, but I don't eat them very often.
oh, I love donuts so much, man.
Adrian Stroop. With a New Day coming out to admit that the Old Day segment last week was garbage, what other segments in Raw history do you wish you could get an apology for?
So many of them, dude. So many of them.
Yeah.
I wish the Godfather at his Hall of Fame induction would say, I apologize for being a pimp and a face. Like, pimps aren't cool, man. You can't, that's not good. Mm-mm. You know, why couldn't he have just been like a very, promiscuous guy? Like, he just banged a lot of people and he was like, hey, these are the chicks that I like to bang this week. I don't know. It's weird that in this day and age the WWE put a pimp in the Hall of Fame. Put a sex trafficker.
I know.
I mean, that's, the non-romanticized word is sex trafficker.
I know. I agree with you.
Why didn't the WWE just apologize for that? And he had a great career behind that,
I know. Ramus452, is that right?
Yes.
Hey, friendos.
Hello.
What do you think about WWE crowds cheering more for heels? Does the crowd appreciate more in-ring work now? Or they just like those wrestlers like Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, and many more? Or they just do not...
Or they not just do a good job working his heels?
No, I think they do a great job working his heels. We talked about this many times.
Okay,
Kevin Owens is a good heel. He's just entertaining.
This is a legitimate question that I would love to ask, dude like Triple H or Stephanie.
Yeah.
What is the current role of a heel in today's industry? Because I think if your job is to get the crowd
to hate you, I'm
not saying they don't do a good job at all, but there are ways to get people to hate you that these guys are not participating in.
Well, I think some of the things that people used to do during the Attitude Era to get heat from the crowd, people will appreciate as quality work and will cheer for them nonetheless.
I'll bring this question up again. I asked you this last week. Triple H, in all of his machinations back in the day, do you think he'd be cheered today?
Well, I think some people would cheer some of that.
I don't know. Like, when I go back to him forcing a ref to take... He did whatever it took to get people to hate him.
I know.
And I don't know if people would... Kevin Owens is a funny dude.
Yeah.
And he makes no bones about, even in his heel character, about illustrating and projecting that. Performing that.
Yeah.
He has no problem doing that.
Yeah.
Rusev.
Okay, here's
he's the closest we've come.
Here's what I think could actually elicit genuine heel heat. It's the thing that people have said about Triple H and John Cena, that they bury talent. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing I think.
But Triple H did that not just behind the scenes, but he effectively did that in character on screen, be it using the sledgehammer, or like he did with Jericho. You know, somebody wins the belt, which everybody's going to pop huge for.
Yeah.
And then how do I get, let's this episode of Raw, let's see how can I collaborate with creative to get my character even more heel heat?
Well, let's look at it this way.
What if somebody does win my belt?
What if something like that happened? What if Sami Zayn won the belt from Kevin Owens on Raw in a month and a half? And Kevin Owens did all he could to make sure that that match was reversed.
Right. The problem with that is that Kevin Owens is already over as in some respects as a face. He's a loved heel.
But say, on that night, he did what Triple H did. He bullied the refs.
He'd get a lot of heel heat.
He would, but there'd also be a certain portion of the crowd that would cheer for him because they like him.
Yeah, but they went into it liking him. That's the problem with that scenario.
I'm sure there were people that went to that match with Triple H.
No. You know that's different. You know that's not the case. He was getting so much hate.
I know, but I think the crowds these days are different.
That type of character, I completely agree. The crowds are different, but they might be different in response to these characters who are supposed to be heels doing things that are entertaining. And I just don't know if, we've seen guys, like The Miz gets heel heat largely because he's The Miz.
Yeah. And
it's not the kind, there is an element of X-Pac heat there. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think it's a really good question. I think that, and I honestly think that Triple H was kind of in a class into himself, because he had the stroke backstage to do those things. But man, he had so much heel heat, and he seemed to really revel in not doing those things that are entertaining for people. When he eschewed the DX stuff, he really got rid of it.
Yeah.
He got rid of it thoroughly.
Yeah.
But
I think we see now when Triple H comes back, he kind of tries to play the cool heel.
Yeah, I know.
Thing now, crotch chopping Reigns and all that stuff.
I know, and I've never really understood if that was more ego serving or if that was, like I said, he's trying to bury Roman a little bit, see if he can get out of it on his own.
Could be.
It's a good question, I think.
Billy Luke. Hey, friendos, I was just wondering if you could somehow choose one legendary wrestler to debut as a young superstar in today's WWE, who would you choose and why?
Today, oh man, what a great question. One legendary was a young superstar. I wonder how Macho Man would go over.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Because he was such a... The 80s were a really weird time.
Yeah.
And, okay, so today you've got guys like Kevin Owens who are very relatable. Even though he's a heel, he's very relatable. You know, in his look, in the way he talks. He's Sami Zayn is one of the most relatable guys on the roster. Mm-hmm. In some way, shape, or form, the guys who are most over are relatable in some respect.
Yeah. Some of the guys from the 80s had this kind of otherworldly quality about them.
Perfect word for the Macho Man.
Yeah.
Perfect. Even Hogan, he came in looking like he was 50 already. He was like super bald, had a really weird, was not a handsome guy, but he had so much of this weird charisma. The Macho Man, like you said, otherworldly. He was a weird-looking guy, and he talked really weird, and then he dressed really weird. How would that go over today? I mean, the closest comparison I can even begin to think of is Enzo, who kind of comes off like an alien, you know?
Yeah. Alex Cartwright. Let's say Owens takes the title of WrestleMania. Who should be his 6 pay-per-view opponents after Rollins, and who should he face at WrestleMania? If he holds a belt to WrestleMania, it's to face Finn Balor. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Who should he face along the way? Let's say
they're
Rollins. Yeah, probably twice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Sami Zayn gets involved.
Yeah.
Once or twice, and I would like to see a Jericho Owens feud. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I'd love to see that.
That'd be a lot of fun.
To see that.
Eager 34. How can you guys make Darren Young great again?
Get him out of the feud with Titus? Has that happened yet? Did they have their blow-off? No, not really.
No, they weren't on TV this week.
Again, Darren Young kind of suffers from there's no mid-card on Raw.
Yeah.
So, like, who could you even... Darren Young versus Neville. Let's see what Darren Young can do in the ring against a guy who is nothing but a great ring worker.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Have them work against guys like that, Cesaro, Sheamus.
Yeah.
You know.
The real Psycho Sid.
Really? Interesting.
With this being the second week we have not seen Triple H, when do you think we will see him explain his actions? Do you think WWE creative maybe are still working on a way to explain it, or are they waiting to create a build-up?
I think it's the second one.
Yes.
Was Stephanie on the show last night?
No.
Yeah, she wasn't even on the show last night.
He says, love the work. When can we expect the Larson face turn so we can finally
Right
choose
now.
Sweet Steve?
Right now. Just do it right now on the show. Do it right now.
Tempting.
No, it's not. It's not even. You're not even convincing saying it's tempting. Come on,
Tempting.
Keep moving.
It's very tempting. Steve Alisi. I absolutely love Corey Graves and the way he calls a match.
I'm with you on that one.
I think Cole is okay.
He's okay because of who he's got with him now.
Yeah. But he cannot.
Really?
He can't stand Byron Saxton.
I think
Byron's great.
I think he's good.
Yeah. Who would you replace on the Raw announced team, and who would you replace them with? I'm actually pretty happy with the Raw announced team right now.
I'm very happy with the Raw announced team. SmackDown is a completely different story.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Byron and Corey Graves play off each other so well.
I think they're great. I think
great.
it's akin to, but not quite to the level.
Corey and Tom Phillips.
Yeah. I'm glad they're still around on NXT, by the way.
I know.
I hope that stays that way.
Kevin Shaw, what are the chances? What chances do you give Clash of Champions being better than Backlash? They'll probably be comparable.
Honestly, just because I prefer the talent on Raw, I would say probably a really good chance in my eyes, in my estimation. You know, whether the consensus is that way, I don't know.
How do you pronounce this name?
Neji Poles?
Sure. Do you think the New Day as a tag team are finally getting stale? It's a shame that their feud with the Wyatt family never went further. Yeah.
I totally agree with that second point. I think the first point, I think that's more of a product of how they've booked this thing with the club more than them getting stale. I think as we saw immediately preceding the draft with the New Day or with the Wyatts, they can be still a very compelling group, and I think the brand split. I think they're one of those. They are one of those acts that has actually kind of suffered because of the brand split. Like this deal with the club has just been. It should be great, but it's been going nowhere.
Donovan Dean, who is the best NXT champion to you guys? Donovan Dean thinks Neville was the best NXT champ.
I would say Finn, simply because, man, it'd be kind of a toss between Finn and Joe. But I think Finn really, really was a big name to help usher in the era that kind of brought it to prominence.
I'm gonna say Kevin Owens because he brought that belt with him to Raw.
Okay.
Beat up John Cena.
Yep.
Stomped on the U.S. title and held up the NXT title.
All right. It's hard to disagree with that. That's a good because he was the champion for such a little amount of time, but it was so impactful.
Yep.
Yeah. Good point.
Sean Troush. I was a bit disappointed when there were no new cruiserweight division competitors announced last week. So he has two questions. Do you think we get any more announcements of wrestlers for that division, or are they sticking with the 10 announced? He feels like he heard that Lindsay Dorado had signed, as well as Tajiri, and he knows guys like Zack Sabre Jr. and Kota Ibushi are long shots. And the second question is, what other cruiserweights would you sign or want signed? I'm guessing they're sticking with the 10 they announced.
Yeah.
But there was also talk last week or the week before that SmackDown might be getting a cruiserweight division as well.
Their own cruiserweight division, so
10 is a pretty decent sized division.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. That's bigger than the women's division on SmackDown and on Raw.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the talent they've announced is fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's already at that level.
Oh yeah,
it's already really good.
Eric Barron, do you think we will ever see War Games ever again?
Probably not.
You know, I was watching one of those pay-per-views, and it was really weird because they had the two rings set up. You know.
Yeah, sure.
The whole pay-per-view, obviously.
Yeah.
And so the regular matches that don't require two rings are just really weird because there's just that extra ring sitting there.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So it always seemed kind of awkward.
I would love to see it. You know, it'd be great.
I'd like to see it too.
It'd be awesome if they let you do that in 2K17.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be fantastic.
Maybe we can do a custom ring that's a War Games match.
That'd be great.
We got some video questions.
All right, let's check it out. Who we got first?
First from DJ CS.
All right.
Hey, what's up, friendos? My name is DJ CS, finally a Patreon. That means you're going to see this fat bastard, whether Scott Steiner or Vince Russo like it or not, here on Going in Raw, if you will. You know what that means, baby? Nobody wins. My question to you guys is, with the cruiserweights coming to an already stacked Raw, do you guys see them doing a Loser Leaves Raw match or K-Fabe firing people so SmackDown can pick them up? Like you guys said, a trade doesn't really benefit SmackDown, So I think the only way they could send people to SmackDown is to K-Fabe fire them or have them lose a match where loser leaves Raw. Let me know what you guys think.
Thanks for your question. Good question.
There will be some transitioning of talent between rosters.
I think we'll see that, like I said, within the next 2 to 3 months. Yep. It will be interesting to see how they're going to fit the cruiserweights onto the show. I mean, hopefully it just means less filler, less.
Last night there wasn't a lot of filler.
Yeah, I know. Because
I want to make sure
all
the matches have time, to develop.
Well, I'm hoping like the segments will be snappier, like the highlight reel will be snappier. The opening promos will be snappier, less backstage segments unless they're absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, next.
Suicide King DP.
All right, let's see.
Hey there, friendos. Steven Larson. It's Vincent on the Patreon, Suicide King DP, and I'm coming to you guys with a question. Longtime supporter, first-time patron. The question is, for you guys, if you'll remember back in like 2013, during the Summer of Punk, there was another guy that got really over with the audience. His name, you might remember him, Ryback, from my hometown of Las Vegas. He didn't get the title. He didn't get any title, despite being horrendously over with the audience for a really long time. It was a really well booked, really well put together story that didn't go anywhere. A lot of people could argue that it was because of Punk. I don't know if you've noticed, but big Punk fan. With the MMA fight that happened on Saturday and Punk's debut in the UFC, I thought it was an appropriate time to bring up. What do you guys think about Ryback and that situation? Do you think he would have actually gone somewhere if Punk didn't have as much pull as he did at the time and hadn't been champion for 434 days, giving no one else an opportunity to hold the belt in that entire time up until the point where The Rock took it, another guy who probably shouldn't have had the belt? All due respect to The Rock. Great. Love him. But, I mean, come on. The guy got over. Shouldn't he have had the belt? What do you guys think?
Thanks for your question, Suicide King. We're going to talk about Ryback and his new name change
on Dirt Sheet.
Dirt Sheet, and we'll also talk about his interview with Sports Illustrated, where he talks about how the end came for WWE and him.
We also talked about how Punk's appearance on the Colt Cabana podcast and Punk's comments on Ryback hurt him, he thought.
Yeah, well, he said the WWE didn't back him.
Yeah.
They didn't say no. He's a safe worker. He said guys like Jericho did.
Yeah.
But he said, he was disappointed the company didn't back him on that when Punk said that. And it made me wonder if WWE, when they heard that, they just, for legal reasons, were like, we're not really going to say anything because we're contemplating backing this guy's lawsuit.
That could be.
According to Punk, anyways. Could Ryback have been the champ? I mean, he could have been, but I don't think he would have been. My bottom line on Ryback is, I think he felt that he had more longevity as a character than the company did, and I would tend to side with the company on that. I think he was a one-dimensional character, and I don't think you could have done much with him.
They could have, after his program with Punk, which he was inserted into, I believe,
because Cena was injured.
Because Cena was
exactly why he was.
They could have done more with him. Mm-hmm. With all the interference with the Shield. I mean, granted, maybe this happened, I just don't remember. Was there a Ryback Shield feud after that?
I don't recall. I don't think so.
They could have done that, and they could have enhanced Ryback some.
Yeah.
But I know they were also trying to build up the Shield, so it's kind of, you don't really want either party in that feud to get jobbed out.
I just think, look at Ryback. He looks like a product of the 90s, of like 1990. He looks like the Ultimate Warrior, basically. And I just don't think, and now he's taking his WWE name, as his legal name.
Yeah.
I just don't know if there's, you have a guy like CM Punk, who's a multi-dimensional character, who's just an extension of a real person, versus Ryback, who just feed me more, eat stupid, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What are you going to go with, you know?
Kevin Larb.
Hey, what's going on? Steven Larson and the Going in Raw community. First up, happy almost episode 100. I think you guys are going to hit that on Wednesday. So congratulations, 100 episodes, and they've been fantastic. My question for you for this week's episode is, what is the favorite wrestling shirt that you guys have bought in the last 10 years from WWE? And maybe what's your favorite wrestling shirt that you have buyer remorse that you actually didn't buy that you saw? My favorite shirt that I did not buy myself that I kind of wish I did was there was an 8-bit John Cena shirt. We was doing like the 5-knuckle shuffle, and you see like the old school NES, like how you do it on the bottom of the shirt. I'm going to splice it in right here. So there you go. But yeah, thanks for answering the question. You guys are great and have a wonderful day. And go Oilers, go. Hopefully we don't suck this season. Have a good one, guys. Talk to you later.
Favorite wrestling shirt is my Going In Raw $50 patron shirt.
He means like a WWE shirt.
Oh. I mean, I think it was either the NWO or Austin. I mean, and I think those are probably two of the top selling shirts of all time.
Mine is my Macho Man shirt.
Oh, that's a really good shirt, yeah. Was there ever a shirt? You know, I wish that there was a better... you know what I really liked that I never bought, that I just had no reason to buy? I really liked that short-lived CM Punk Nexus shirt because it was his fist logo, but in yellow, which looked
cool
really,
shirt.
really cool.
But
it's like, it was just indicative of a time when, you know, it was like made him, and Husky Harris was in the new Nexus with him and weird stuff.
Do you remember the first wrestling shirt you ever bought?
Yes, I do. It was a Hogan NWO shirt.
I remember that one.
And I loved that shirt because it fit so well. It really looked good on me.
I remember that.
I really liked that shirt.
I think mine was a Wolfpack shirt.
That's great.
And then I also bought a Kurt Angle shirt.
Yeah.
One more video question from Patrick Sparks.
All right, let's see it, Pat.
Hey, friendos, Pat here. So, it took me about 44 minutes into Backlash the other night to realize that I fucking hate SmackDown's announce team with a passion. Because Otunga sucks. A lot. Morrow's pop culture references suck. And there's a lot of them. And JBL is JBL, and he's the best one on that team, so it's saying something. So, with that being said, who would you put on a commentating team who's never been associated with any of the commentating teams that have ever been so far? And I just bought a bunch of new stickers for my new laptop, and I got this one of CM Punk GTSing Superman's head off, and it's exploding, and it's pretty fucking awesome. So, thanks, friendos.
Thanks, Pat. I like that CM Punk sticker as well.
Yeah.
It's a very good looking. I'm a CM Punk guy.
You are. So if you had to put together a 3-person announce team that had nothing to do with prior announce teams, so no holdovers, like you wouldn't have.
Right.
Say,
well, who can you grab for play-by-play? I mean, who can you just get out of the ether? I get, WWE tried to sign Mike Goldberg at one point.
Yeah.
So I'd get him. He'd he'd be my play-by-play guy.
Okay, that's a good choice.
Titus O'Neil on color.
Good.
And then we need one other guy. Who would it be? Who hasn't been? Trying to think.
All right, while you think, I'll answer.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, and then you know what? Fuck it, because she hasn't been on commentary. Renee Young.
Oh, yeah. I want Renee Young as on play-by-play.
Oh, okay.
I want CM Punk.
Uh-huh.
And then, wow, Titus is a good choice. But I want Renee. I want CM Punk.
Okay.
And then Shane Douglas.
Oh, man, that'd be great. And he would just relay all these stories about how, like, he hated the clique.
All right, are you ready?
No, are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
I'm asking you the question.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. What are we going to do? We'll do it.
It's only the greatest pro wrestling trivia challenge of them all. It's K-Fabe Corner.
K-Fabe Corner is right.
12 names, 6 real, 6 fake.
And at the $10 Patreon level, you can vote every week on what theme we use. What wrestler do we use? And this week I offered the options for the Andersons, for Arn and Ole Anderson. And overwhelmingly, Arn Anderson won out. So I've got 12 names here. 6 are real, 6 are fake. And I've got 2 trivia questions that are good, solid trivia. These are good questions, man.
Good.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1.
1.
Rio Wilson.
Fake.
Very good. Rock Rogowski.
Real.
Very good. The Mongolian Hunter.
Real.
Fake. Goldie Boots.
Real.
Fake.
Okay.
Jack Swagger Sr.
Real.
Very good. Stunner to me as well. James Golden. I know what you're thinking right now. You're in no man's land in terms of how many reals and how many fakes there's been.
Real.
Very good. The Nightmare, Ted Allen.
Fake.
Real.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good name.
Toaster.
Toaster?
Yeah.
Real.
Fake. That's just something you use to heat up your bread.
No, I know, but I was trying to do the reals and fakes in my head.
Stop doing that. Bill Kazmaier.
Real.
Very good. Midnight X.
Real.
Fake. Mr. Blood.
Real.
Fake.
Really?
Yeah. The Clip Master.
Real.
Very good. That's it.
Okay, I got
You got
6.
6. Get a load of these trivia questions. Arn Anderson was an integral part of the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
Although it's funny, I have it here spelled the Four Horsemen. What was his first stable?
I know he's in a tag team with Ole Anderson called the Minnesota Wrecking Crew.
This was before that. It's
Wow.
not a tag team, it's a stable.
Wow. Is it a fairly well-known one?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know what kind of research you've done. Maybe we've tried to do Arn Anderson before. I don't know.
I'll say the Anderson brothers.
Oh, no. The Stud Stable. Ron Fuller's Stud Stable back when he was like, what was his name? Super Olympia or Mr. Olympia or something like that. Yeah. All right, next question. What wrestler first observed to Bill Watts that Arn looked like Ole, which led him to team with Ole? Which wrestler pointed that out, and then they booked him to team with
I know
Ole?
I've heard this story before. I'll say Dusty.
No, Junkyard Dog.
Oh.
Yeah. Interesting. And then they went on to form the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Because Ole was known, it's weird. Like, Ole was super over as just a tag team wrestler with various tag teams.
Huh.
Yeah. I wish you guys would have chosen Ole. Actually, I'll be honest with you. Like, I started at Arn, and then, you know, of course he tagged with Ole, so I went to Ole to look up some stuff.
Yeah.
And then it just went from there. I'm going to try, because I know Iceman likes when we say some of these. Oh, man. Rio Wilson was just a play on Rio, Lord of the Jungle, who was the Renegade, who Arn lost, like, the television title to at one point.
Wow.
Rock Rogowski, I forget. That was the other name to somebody, I forget who. The Mongolian Hunter was a play off of the Mongolian somebody, the Bounty Hunter. I forget who that was. I don't know. All sorts of weird people. Jack Swagger Sr. Yeah, apparently there was a Jack Swagger Sr., which is interesting. The Nightmare Ted Allen, I think, was one of his trainers.
Okay.
I think he trained Arn. There wasn't even a Wikipedia entry on him, but there is an annual event they do in his honor because he died back in 2010. So yeah,
Cool.
Those are the big ones that I had.
That was good. I'm
Yeah.
up 1 on the year because you did so well last week.
Nice. Look at that. Roaring back. Awesome. Right on. Well, once again, we want to say thanks to everybody who tuned in, who's watching this, who the patrons out there at patreon.com/Stephen Larson. And please leave a review, a rating, even if you hate the show. You check this out. You're going to YouTube, let's show these guys what I think about them, because all that exposure helps us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. Tomorrow we've got our SmackDown recap. And until then, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.